Start by asking a question I'm sure you've never been asked before. Tell me the story of the beard.
One word: lazy.
He doesn't need to smash guitars on stage to prove he's a rock star. He doesn't rely on scandals, viral moments, or shocking statements to leave a mark. Billy Gibbons, distinguished by his chest-length beard, trademark dark sunglasses, and ever-present, pearly gaits, Les Paul, has become an irreplaceable icon of Southern American rock culture. As the frontman of ZZ Top, a band that redefined Texas-style blues rock, Gibbons isn't just a legendary guitarist. He's the embodiment of loyalty to a musical identity. While many artists chase trends, Gibbons remains rooted, standing firm in a rapidly changing world, holding tight to his groove, his riffs, and his soul. Ironically, that refusal to evolve with the times has made him a rare figure in rock history. In a genre often defined by chaos, excess, and self-destruction, Billy Gibbons stands out for what he hasn't done: no drug meltdowns, no messy divorces, no bankruptcies, no dramatic exits mid-tour. Just music, always music. But behind his calm exterior lies an extraordinary journey. From a boy inspired by Elvis Presley to the final torchbearer of ZZ Top. From global fame to the heartbreak of losing his closest friend. The real question is, how has Billy Gibbons survived intact while so many rock legends burned out? The answer lies in the story that follows. Billy Gibbons was born on December 16, 1949, in Houston, Texas, not in poverty, but in a creative, middle-class household. His father, Frederick Royal Gibbons, was an orchestra conductor and stage director who had worked with MGM Studios. In the Gibbons home, music wasn't a luxury, it was life itself. At just 5 years old, Billy's father took him to see Elvis Presley live. That performance ignited something in him. It wasn't just the sound, it was the lights, the sweat, the energy. That memory, seared into his young mind, became what he would later call the real life of rock and roll. Soon after, Billy began playing drums but switched to guitar in his early teens. His first instrument, a Gibson Melody Maker, marked the start of a musical journey that would span over 6 decades. Growing up surrounded by jazz, street blues, and the rising California rock scene gave him a rich, diverse musical palette. As a teenager, he attended the Hollywood Professional School, where he studied alongside future stars like Liza Minnelli and got early exposure to studio life. It was there that he began experimenting with fuzz pedals, tube amps, and gritty tones that would one day define ZZ Top. His childhood wasn't filled with tragedy, it was shaped by passion. Billy Gibbons wasn't running from hardship, he was running toward music. Even then, he knew that music didn't have to be loud, it just had to feel right. And from that feeling, a quiet but unforgettable guitarist began to emerge. In the late 1960s, while most of America's youth was caught up in anti-war protests and psychedelic culture, a 20-year-old Billy Gibbons formed his own band, the Moving Sidewalks. Inspired by the acid rock wave, the band released one album, Flash, in 1968. But what really caught attention was Billy himself. Guitar legend Jimi Hendrix, known for his incredibly sharp ear, once called Billy Gibbons one of the finest young guitarists in America, on national television. That compliment alone made the music world take notice. Yet Gibbons soon felt a pull back to his roots, Southern blues. Psychedelia was crowded and fleeting, he wanted something grounded. In 1969, he co-founded ZZ Top with Dusty Hill on bass and Frank Beard on drums. From the start, Gibbons had a clear vision. ZZ Top wouldn't just be a band, it would be a cultural symbol. A sound that felt like dusty roads, roaring engines, and long Texas nights. Their debut album, ZZ Top's first album, was released in 1971. While it wasn't a commercial blockbuster, it revealed a band with an identity, tight riffs, raw swagger, and unmistakable Texas soul. Billy Gibbons wasn't in a rush. He built ZZ Top like a slow-burning fire, album by album, gig by gig. By the early 70s, the name ZZ Top started spreading beyond Texas. Their 1973 release, Tres Hombres, featuring the now iconic track, La Grange, took them to national fame. Inspired by a real-life brothel, La Grange was a snarling blues riff wrapped in grit and charm. But Gibbons wasn't just shaping sound, he was crafting an image. He helped design the band's unique look: long beards, dark shades, silver-trimmed cowboy gear. It wasn't just about music, it was branding, and it worked. By the time MTV began changing how people consumed music, ZZ Top was ready to adapt without losing their roots. The 1983 album Eliminator changed everything. With hits like Sharp Dressed Man, Gimme All Your Lovin', and Legs, ZZ Top didn't just rule the airwaves. They took over TV screens with playful, stylish music videos. The band became instantly recognizable thanks to Gibbons and Hill's synchronized moves, beards, and sunglasses. Eliminator sold over 10 million copies in the US alone. Despite adding electronic elements, the music never lost its bluesy heart. Gibbons remained loyal to his rough riffs and smoky vocals, projecting an almost motionless stage presence that still radiated power. Between 1983 and 1990, ZZ Top became a cultural phenomenon. They were featured in movies, ads, and even Lego figurines. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004, they remain one of the most successful trios in rock history, alongside Rush and the Police. Through it all, Billy Gibbons remained the band's architect, the producer, visionary, and final decision-maker. He didn't need to scream to lead. His guitar did the talking. His solos weren't fast or flashy. They swung, they grooved, and they spoke with soul. And it was during this time that Billy began expanding his influence even further. Billy Gibbons expanded his creative horizons by producing for other artists, collaborating with names like Slash and Queens of the Stone Age, and even guest starring on the TV series Bones as the father of Angela Montenegro, introducing his persona to a new generation without ever compromising his identity. If there's one quality that defines Gibbons and explains his lasting presence in the ever-shifting landscape of pop music, it's consistency. He never reinvented himself by destroying the old. He simply dug deeper into it until the world saw that what's old can also be the most enduring. For Gibbons, a great guitar riff isn't about how fast or complex it is, it's about precision, soul, and groove. Much like how he led ZZ Top, not with noise, but with quiet, irreplaceable power. In a rock world where most bands fall apart within a few years, battered by fame, egos, addiction, or money, ZZ Top lasted more than 5 decades, and at the heart of that endurance was a deep friendship between Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill. But in the summer of 2021, that bond was tragically severed. On July 28, 2021, Dusty Hill passed away in his sleep at his home in Houston. The announcement was brief, posted on ZZ Top's official page, but for Billy, it was a devastating blow. There were no public displays of emotion, no dramatic interviews, just a quiet promise to honor his friend's final wish. "Keep on playing. Don't stop because of me," Dusty had told him. And Billy did just that. Days later, the band resumed touring with Dusty's longtime bass tech, Elwood Francis, stepping in. But the stage wasn't the same. Billy often glanced to the left, where Dusty used to stand, and backstage, he began carrying one of Dusty's bass guitars on stage, a silent ritual of remembrance. Critics often labeled ZZ Top as conservative, claiming the band never evolved. But Billy Gibbons never played to compete or to meet trends, he played to stay true to his sound. Even when experimenting with electronic textures in Eliminator or blending modern influences in solo projects, Gibbons held onto his core philosophy: simplicity, soul, and groove. Offstage, he remained just as grounded. Living in the Texas desert, surrounded by vintage cars and odd artifacts, Gibbons avoided the spotlight when not performing. Some call him reclusive, others see him as refreshingly private. He chose to live a life not dictated by headlines or algorithms. And that silence, that resistance to noise, made his guitar speak louder. Unlike many rock stars who battled addiction or chased viral fame, Billy Gibbons managed to sidestep the pitfalls of the industry. That's not to say life didn't bring him hardship. Loss, loneliness, and quiet trials were part of the journey. But he met them the only way he knew how, by continuing to play. In his personal life, Gibbons is a rare figure among rock legends. He doesn't show up in tabloid scandals, nor does he post romantic selfies or flirt with fame on social media. His life outside of music has remained a soft veil, quiet, sincere, and deeply private. In 2005, at age 56, he married Gilligan Stillwater, a woman he had quietly loved for nearly 20 years. There was no media frenzy or lavish ceremony. Their bond wasn't built on promises but on knowing each other beyond the need for them. Gilligan is not your typical rock star spouse. She rarely appears in public and never seeks the spotlight. Perhaps that's exactly why their relationship has endured. With no children, the couple divides their time between homes in California and Texas, where Billy surrounds himself with classic guitars, custom cars, and strange works of art. Those close to him describe him as meticulous, private, and fond of order, someone who dislikes being disturbed and prefers silence over noise. One of his greatest passions outside of music is vintage cars. His 1948 Cadillac, known as Cadzilla, is an icon in American car culture, a vehicle he personally helped design. To Gibbons, a car is like a guitar. It must have the right tone, a soul, and it must be respected if you want it to take you far. Many fans have wondered why he and Dusty Hill kept their beards for so long and never altered their signature image. Gibbons would simply smile and say, "Because don't lie. If you let it grow long enough, it'll tell you what's real." No flash. No fakery. Billy Gibbons has lived his life the same way he plays music, in rhythm, with soul, and without caring what others expect. Perhaps that's why, after half a century in a chaotic industry, he's still the same man he was when he started. A true Texas-born legend who doesn't need to ask to be remembered. If someone does think of him, maybe they'll smile and say, "That was a good man." And really, for a life lived with meaning, that might just be enough. When it comes to legacy and influence, Billy Gibbons may not be as flashy as Eddie Van Halen or as technically flamboyant as Steve Vai. He doesn't chase attention or shout for praise. Instead, his guitar glides like a slow cruise down a dusty southern highway. And it is this quiet restraint that has made him one of the most respected and influential guitarists in American rock. Gibbons' playing is a fusion of tradition and instinct. Drawing from the deep emotional well of blues, layering it with boogie groove, adding a touch of Marshall amp growl and deliberately gritty tone, he crafts something instantly recognizable. But what sets him apart isn't how much he plays, it's how much he chooses not to. "Music isn't about what you play," he once said. "It's about what you don't play." In a world where influence is measured by likes and followers, Billy Gibbons stays true to a timeless philosophy. Music must have soul, and the artist must have identity. That belief has earned him the admiration of generations of musicians, from Dave Grohl and Jack White to Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys and even John Mayer. His influence extends beyond guitar players. Under his leadership, ZZ Top became not just a band but a pop culture icon. The image of two bearded cowboys in a red Cadillac, backed by gritty blues and sharp riffs, became one of the defining visuals of 1980s MTV. It's still seen in movies, commercials, and games today. At the center of it all is Pearly Gates, Gibbons' iconic 1959 Gibson Les Paul, the guitar behind countless legendary riffs. Gibson reissued it as a signature model, making it one of the most sought-after guitars in the world. Beyond music, Gibbons has left his mark on car design, fashion, and television. Yet no matter where he appears, he's unmistakably himself: beard, sunglasses, cowboy hat, sending a clear message. "Who I am was shaped long ago. There's no need to change." And that, perhaps, is Billy Gibbons' greatest power. He doesn't chase time, he stands firm within it. He doesn't need to shout to be remembered. Billy Gibbons only has to play a single note, and the world falls silent. At a time when most artists have retired or are living off their legacies, Gibbons remains firmly rooted on stage, a tireless craftsman who refuses to slow down. After the heartbreaking loss of his longtime bandmate Dusty Hill in 2021, Gibbons didn't choose rest or retreat. Instead, he honored Dusty's final wish by continuing to tour with ZZ Top across the US and abroad. For him, each performance is a tribute to the past, to the audience, and to a friend who can no longer stand beside him. Beyond keeping ZZ Top alive, Gibbons has nurtured a powerful solo career. From the Afro-Cuban flavors of Perfectamundo, 2015, to the traditional grit of the Big Bad Blues, 2018, and the desert-infused textures of Hardware, 2021, each solo album has been a quiet but profound experiment. He never repeats himself, yet never betrays his roots, a rare kind of artistic flexibility for someone with a career spanning over 50 years. In 2024 and 2025, Gibbons continues proving that age isn't a limitation but fuel for deeper, more authentic music. He released the single Living It Up Down in Texas, contributed to the soundtrack for the TV series Landman, and is preparing to drop his fourth solo album. At the same time, ZZ Top is planning their first new studio record in over 2 decades. Still, Billy Gibbons is far from done with the road. He toured with the BFGs in early 2025 and now leads ZZ Top through their Elevation Tour, with over 50 dates scheduled across North America. Even when drummer Frank Beard had to step back due to health issues, Gibbons carried the band forward, just as he has through countless changes over the decades, never losing direction. There are no political messages or loud calls to action. Gibbons inspires through calm, through music, and by living a simple philosophy. Music doesn't stop. It just shifts quietly. And I haven't hit that shift yet. At 75, Billy Gibbons hasn't left the stage. He stays not for the lights or the cheers, but because it's the only place where his music truly comes alive. He's never been a loud man. He doesn't stomp across the stage or wave his arms like many of his rock peers. He simply stands, calm, long-bearded, left hand stroking the strings, right hand picking each riff like he's pouring whiskey slowly into a thick glass. And it's this very slowness and composure that has made Gibbons an irreplaceable figure in American music history. In a world where artists often sacrifice identity to follow trends, Billy Gibbons remained true to what first stirred his soul: raw blues, southern groove, and dusty guitar tones. He didn't change to match the times shifted to embrace his sound. For more than half a century, Gibbons has led ZZ Top through every transformation in the music industry, defining not only a sound but a way of life, honest, composed, and grounded. No scandals. No gimmicks. Just music, passion, and a beard nurtured by time and principle. His career hasn't been a roller coaster of sudden highs. It's been a steady highway, full of low, soulful notes that never lost rhythm. He's lost a bandmate, been misunderstood, faded from the spotlight, but never stopped. He kept recording, kept touring, kept leaving his mark with every string he touched. If Billy Gibbons' story teaches us anything, it's this: sometimes perseverance is the loudest voice. And in a chaotic world, those who know how to keep their own tempo, like he does, are the ones who make sure the music never loses its way. If you believe Billy Gibbons is a legacy worth remembering, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next story. And if you have a memory with ZZ Top, share it in the comments, because music lives on when we tell the stories together. See you in the next one.